Hey guys, before we start this Powerpuff Girls script reading episode, I have a few announcements to make. One, this is the last Tuesday episode of the Gamma Analysis for at least a while, as starting next week, the Gamma Analysis is moving to late Thursday night / early Friday morning. I am going to be starting my She-Hulk reviews next week, as that's when the show comes out, and I'm planning on trying to get the episodes out as soon as possible for you guys, because I want you guys to have that content and quickly. And then also the other announcement is that this week, actually as of yesterday, the last 3 episodes of content went up on the Patreon. So you have a month's worth of free content on the Patreon. Going forward, all of the content, you have to be a part of the tiers to be able to get said content. So please listen to all that free content, and also consider subscribing to the Patreon. And now I'll let you get back to your actual regularly scheduled old Gamma Analysis episode. Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. So excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I review everything about Hulk, all the movies and TV series. So I've been a lot lately not doing Hulk content. But hope you enjoy. Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they could please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. For this episode, I'm going to be reading out a Powerpuff Girls live action pilot script to 2 of my friends to get their reactions. And I'd like to take a moment to say that Smash Trivia now has a Patreon, so please check that out. We have some fantastic extra content on there I bet you'll love. The tiers are as follows. $1 a month is Hulkaholic for $1, which is basically I'll give you a shout out on the show every episode. $3 a month is the Reading Room with Hulky and Shulky. Basically, I will be doing a sort of audio drama plus us review of a Hulk or a She-Hulk comic book. And then $5 a month is Smashing the TV, which is or you get both my weekly TV analysis where I talk about all the shows that I watched that past week, and you get a once a month a reaction video of me reacting to a bad movie or a B movie. And then and for $10 a month is Bruce's Bar Trivia and One Night Smashes, where basically every month I will have an episode where I get challenged either by patrons or by Keith, trivia questions and Smasher passes. Is our co-hosts today are Keith, aka Keith Sketches, aka Film Critter with a K, and Powerpuff Girl Fangirl Annabelle, who's also one of the Variant Vendetta Podcast host. How are the 2 of you doing today?
Hello, John. I'm so excited to be back on your podcast with our good friend Keith. Woo!
Raising the roof. It's been a minute, John. I think we recorded the first trivia and first Smasher Pass just a few days ago, or maybe a week now, and yeah, you passed with flying colors, sir. Your guesses on the trivia were
even though I think I only got like one of the trivia questions right.
Hell of a good guess. Hell, for someone who's never seen Saved by the Bell, let alone Saved by the Bell the college years, I only knew.
Okay, I only got that right because I knew that Full House was a really popular show in the 90s.
That was a damn good guess because there were tons of popular shows, and that would just happen to be the one that was on the same time slot. So an amazing guess. Yeah. Powerpuff Girls. I'm excited.
Yes.
Powerpuff Girls.
Yes. Which Powerpuff Girl did you identify with most as a kid, John?
I didn't watch the show, so I don't know.
Oh my goodness. That's what
could
you should
see-
be doing next on your Patreon. Watching
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls.
You really need to watch it. I could see him being a total buttercup.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, the green alone makes sense to
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Yeah. I think I liked Buttercup the most, but I probably ended up being a Blossom a little. Yeah.
Who do y'all think I am?
I want to say Bubbles. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking Bubbles.
Thank you so much. Yes. I love Bubbles.
This is pretty fantastic. Yeah.
All right. As
choice.
always, I have a trivia question for you. Which Powerpuff Girl knocks out bad guys' teeth for money?
I'm pretty sure that's Buttercup.
Gotta be Buttercup. Yeah.
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 Okay. Well,
We'll find out the answer to that
give
later.
you
I
that.
suppose.
Yep. All right, and as always, our alcohol for $1. We have Keith. So, and then the podcast they want to shout out this week is Commute the Podcast. It's a fantastic podcast. It's specifically formulated for to be the length of most people's or maybe not most people's, but a lot of people's work commutes, and they talk about 3 topics every week. Or every episode. I'm not sure whether it's every week or not. I listened to the episode where they talked about pets.com, the history of LOL, and gorillas and comics. And I had a really fun time learning about all of these 3 things. I bet you will too, so check them out.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Right.
It sounds like dinner conversation afterwards. You get like the idea, factoids that you're told, and then you're like,
yeah.
You ever heard about LOL? Well, let me tell you what I heard
I know.
today.
That's very
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yep, definitely.
Very cool.
All right, so we're gonna start off with this Powerpuff Girls script. So it starts out. A big blue endless sky day. Super. 2003, over a blue sky filled with cotton candy clouds. The narrator says, once upon a time in the early 2000s, there were 3 extraordinary sisters who were destined to save the world. Blossom Ultium soars into frame. Blossom can fly effortlessly, even in the impractical pink dress she wears. Blossom says, come on, guys, he's getting away. And the narrator, we hear the narrator say, Blossom was the leader, the go-getter, the goody-good. Buttercup Ultium flies up next to her sister. She's a scrawling tomboy wearing a green dress. And Buttercup in a mocking high voice, come on, guys, he's getting away. Hey, please, we always catch them. That's a narrator says, Buttercup was the tough one, the hard ass, if you'll pardon the idiom. Buttercup zooms off a green blur. Bubbles Ultium in a blue dress, pigtails, and adorable smile rises up beside Blossom. Bubbles says, "I spy a camera crew. We're gonna be on TV tonight. Woot!" And Blossom says, "Let's focus on finishing the job and protecting our city." And Bubbles says, "Well, don't forget to smile. Daddy says our image is as important as our efficiency." She grins, touching her dimples with her index finger. The narrator says, and Bubbles was the sweet, upbeat, and cheerful one most of the time.
Yeah.
The title card of Powerpuff Girls. The 3 girls dip down together, driving towards a marauding 3-headed Pegasus monster, big as a building, wreaking havoc on the city. We only see it briefly. Don't worry. Buttercup says, "Time to kick some beast."
What?
She burst ahead of them, hooking swiftly around a welcome billboard that reads, "The City of Townsville, home of the Powerpuff Girls."
The
It
billboard
bears
says that?
cartoon likenesses of the girls. And a montage of brief action shots. Buttercup punching the beast, Bubbles stunning it with her ice breath, Blossom tying it up, Townsville cheering them on. The girls take a bow. The narrator says, "These exceptional girls were not born, but created by the brilliant Professor Drake Altium." And enter Professor Altium's lab day. It's 1996, 7 years earlier. Drake Altium, a debonair scientist in his 30s, toils in a lab surrounded by mysterious equipment and colorful compounds. There's an explosion of light, red, blue, and green, as new life blooms from a pit plate. I'm not sure what that is. The narrator says,
sounds right though. Yeah.
He long dreamed of being a father, but his grandiosity prevented him from pursuing his goal in the usual manner. Drake didn't just want children; he wanted and Drake lifts the tinted lab goggles off his face, astonished. "Phenomena," he says. Above him, in the magic fogged air, we see the silhouettes of the hovering, newly made Powerpuff Girls. Drake turns to his gawky, cowering lab partner, Dr. Joseph Mojo Mondale. Mojo claps, though he looks a bit uncertain. Mojo says, "Congrats! You did it!" And Drake says, "I couldn't have done it without you, Mojo." Now enter Professor Altium's house, kitchen, evening. The girls, it's the professor and the professor's girlfriend, Sarah Bellum, 30s, redhead with kind eyes, enjoy a cozy, laughter-filled dinner. The narrator says, "For years, all was well in the Altium household. The sisters were the best of friends. Drake was a proud papa. His girlfriend Sarah had become like part of the family." Off from this warm scene, we cut to First Bank of Townsville, dusk. A crowd cheering as the girls descend on villain Fuzzy Lumpkins and snatch big bags of money from his clutches.
Wow.
And the narrator says the girls were beloved heroes in Townsville, a city mysteriously besieged by villainous creatures and crooks. Where the police had failed, the Powerpuffs were triumphant. Everyone looks up as the Powerpuff Girls begin performing an adorable synchronized dance routine in midair. Drake turns to a news camera filming the spectacle, pumping his fist. And Drake yells, "Girl power!" And enter Joseph of Mojo Mondale's house at the same time. Reveals Mojo watching the spectacle on television in his dim, depressing den. He glares, sick with envy. And the narrator says, Dr. Joseph Mojo Mondale was not so delighted with the Powerpuff Girls. He resented their celebrity, especially since he'd helped Drake discover Chemical X, the magnetic substance that gave the girls their powers. But Drake, wrapped up in the limelight, seemed to have forgotten about their decade-long partnership. Mojo turns off the TV. He walks to the window. The narrator says he'd hoped to use the chemical to gain powers himself, powers he'd use for good. But what use would it be now? Mojo wasn't cute. He didn't have sugar or spice or anything nice. He was just a plain old boring man. As Mojo As Mojo gazes out the window, we see three glittery streaks of color appear in the sky. Red, green, and blue. It's the girls. We swear we even hear a giggle. A boy running up from behind, nose pressed against the glass. This is Mojo's son, Jojo. Jojo says, Dad, were those the Powerpuff Girls? I wish I could fly. They're all so cool, especially Blossom. Of Mojo stewing, back at the at Professor Altium's house day, the girls and Drake watch a live news broadcast. Mojo stands at a podium at a televised rally. The chyron underneath reads, Concerned Scientist Holds Anti-Powerpuff Rally. Mojo on TV, I worked with the professor for years. Believe me when I tell you, he's power hungry and duplicitous. Duplicitous. He stole Chemical X from me. I know the Powerpuffs are protecting us from monsters, but who will protect us from the Powerpuff Girls? And Blossom says, but we never. And Drake says, he's a sad, bitter man. Don't worry, you're more popular than ever. The narrator says, and Drake was right. The girls had a national fan club, licensed merch, even their own cartoon. But Mojo wasn't their only enemy. They were about to face an evil far more formidable, a force that's defeated innumerable gifted children. Puberty. Enter Professor Altium's house early morning. It's now 2013. In a siren blares. Buttercup, Bubbles, and Blossom, now teenagers, shuffle out the front door, suited for combat in their iconic dresses. They look sullen and reluctant. Bubbles, wearing sunglasses, is hungover, says, "Are we fighting Swampy again? Who has the brief?" Drake pops out of the house, followed by Sarah. Drake says, "Bubbles, wait, where are your pigtails? You have to stick to the character Bible." And Sarah says, as she's not a character, Drake. And Drake says, "I know that, which is why I've allowed her to select 2 outside friends and unlimited after homeschool activities. Buttercup, I don't appreciate the look on your face right now." Sarah says, "I don't. Can you blame her? She's 17 and she's up at the butt crack of dawn to fight a talking swamp." And Drake says, "Sarah, as always, I appreciate your concern for my family, but you're not part of it." And before the girls can begin to defend Sarah, Blossom pipes up. "Guys, we have to go. Townsville needs us." Blossom takes off into the sky. The other girls follow suit reluctantly. Sarah stares at Drake, hurt, turns, and walks away. In the city of Townsville Day, Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup battle Swampy. It's way more effortful than it should be. When suddenly a laser beam grazes Swampy and almost hits Blossom. Reveal: a giant robot being operated by Mojo, a lab monkey by his side. Mojo's voice bellows from a megaphone, "Stop the Powerpuff Girls!" At Mojo's lab, and now teenage Jojo co-pilots his father via a control panel monitor. He's holding a Blossom action figure. And Jojo says, "Dad, easy on Blossom, remember?" And Mojo says, "I got this, Jojo." Uh, back on back at the in the city, the girls trying to subdue Swampy as few anti-Powerpuff protesters gather below. One throws a Slurpee. Buttercup goes red hot and flies up to the jackass. As Buttercup says, "I will honestly end you." People cower in fear as Mojo blasts at Blossom again. "Guys, a little help," says Blossom. And Bubbles responds, "We're working on it." Mojo blasts another laser at Swampy, hitting him in the arm and the building behind him. Concrete debris rains down. Blossom catches the falling pieces in both arms, looking to his sisters for help. Or to her sisters for help. But hungover Bubbles can barely handle Swampy. And Buttercup's fighting with protesters. There's desperate. Blossom kicks a third piece of debris out of the air, but it ricochets a lamppost, exploding it into fragments. Mojo's robot is riddled with shrapnel as it falls to the ground. In Mojo's lab, Jojo is speechless. His eyes water as Jojo simply says, "Dad?" And above the robot, Blossom sees blood from the inside panel. Blossom and Buttercup join her. Blossom begins to hyperventilate, having a full-blown panic attack. Enter the newsroom daytime. A newscaster sits at the beside a news banner that says, "A Townsville divided." The newscaster says, "In the wake of Mojo's death, a once fringe group of anti-Powerpuff Girl activists have gained massive popularity in Townsville. Their goal to banish the Powerpuff Girls." The news cuts to footage of the mayor holding a press conference surrounded by angry anti-Powerpuff protesters. The mayor says, "Due to public safety concerns, the Powerpuff Girls have been outlawed from fighting in Townsville." The protesters cheer wildly as, at the same time, I'm at Professor Altium's house in the TV room day. Bubbles and Buttercup watch on TV under a blanket together. Buttercup says, "I'd better check on Blossom." Enter Blossom's room. Buttercup enters Blossom's room and says, "Bloss, but the bed is empty and made. Empty dressers are open." And we exit to gray sky, day. See a tear-stained AIM Blossom flying as fast as she can through the overcast sky, a suitcase strapped to her back. At the same time, at Professor Altium's house, a now furious Buttercup bursts angrily out the front door and is immediately swarmed by news cameras. Buttercup says, "Bleep you all and bleep Ape Townsville. The Powerpuff Girls are done."
She says bleep.
Yes, literally says bleep.
Stop it. No. Oh my God.
You want me to take a picture and send it to you?
No, I believe you.
Oh my
That's just really
God.
So, as we're at the end of this teaser, so far, what do you think of this pilot?
I think you go ahead, Annabelle.
I'm mad. I am mad. Okay. No. To me, it sounds like they're trying to shove the entire Powerpuff Girls show and everything that happens into one episode. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, I think they're jumping ahead to because this is the one that has Diablo Cody worked on, right? or
I have,
wrote. I think her name should be on the. If it's the one that's in the works with Chloe Bennett from Agents of Shield,
with Chloe Bennett.
And it's still in production, but it's like a shorter. It's going to be like maybe a short run or something like that. They're trying to jump to their 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the setup for this series. Is that they're basically doing like an Incredibles thing, in my opinion, where it's like they're outlawing superheroes. They're outlawing the Powerpuff Girls. So it's going to be them. It's going to jump ahead soon, I assume, and have them kind of intermingling in society, not having used their powers in years or something.
Yeah,
I would assume. Okay,
I sent both of you pictures on Discord of the of her saying bleep.
Thank you. I want to see that, the bleep.
Yes.
Well, while you guys are looking at that, I'm the same. So,
oh my god,
Act 1 on house day. Smoke billows from the first floor of a house. Narrator says, after Blossom ran away to build a new life for herself, Buttercup and Bubbles followed suit. On the second floor, a window opens. Adult Buttercup, wearing fighter gear, leaps out the window with a little boy in her arms. They fly about 20 feet and land gently. The narrator says, enraged by the gullible end of PPGs, Buttercup sought amnesty. She moved to a small town in Oregon, shortened her name to B, and joined the fire department. The little boy says, I thought you guys used ladders. And Buttercup says, if anyone asked, I did.
Yeah.
And now we exit to Hollywood Boulevard night. See you on the CU on a license plate reads Bubbles 1, affixed to a baby blue Corvette. Adult Bubbles, still wearing her signature pigtails, pops the trunk. It's full of Powerpuff Girls merch and a price list. Selfies $20, t-shirts $30, selfie plus shirt $45. The narrator says, as Bubbles went to Hollywood, hoping to capitalize on what fame she had left. After 2 stints in rehab and 3 failed reality show pilots, she had pivoted to direct sales. Bubbles announces herself to a pack of passing tourists. She says, I'm Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls, the real Bubbles, unlike that Bobo knockoff Wonder Woman and fake Wonder Woman who looks really fake, turns and sticks her tongue out at Bubbles as the tourists flock to her. Enter a college lecture hall day. Blossom sits in a lecture hall taking notes. The narrator says, as for Blossom, she attended an elite women's college in the Northeast, collecting degrees to cocoon herself from the harsh sting of the real world. It was effective. Blossom notices a Powerpuff Girls tattoo on the bicep of one of her classmates. And the narrator says, most of the time. It is now the year 2021. And enter Blossom's apartment. Morning. Blossom joins her adorable boyfriend Clive for breakfast. Clive wears a birthday hat. As Blossom enters the room, he slips a happy birthday tiara on her head and grins. Narrator says, after a decade of school, Blossom got a job at a Boston area biotech firm. Ooh. After she met her boyfriend Clive, this morning they're celebrating her 25th birthday, which is technically tomorrow, but tomorrow Blossom has some out-of-state business to attend into. And we hear ding! A reminder text from Spirit Airlines pops up on Blossom's phone. It's time to check in for your flight to Townsville, departing tomorrow, 8 a.m. She shudders. And Blossom says, I don't want to go to Townsville. And Clive rubs her shoulder warmly as he pours her coffee. Then Clive says, after this weekend, you never have to again. Once you sign that document and collect your trust fund, you're free. Besides, you've been so excited to see your sisters. Blossom says, they probably still hate me. They talk all the time. Buttercup even went to see a Bubbles one-woman show. Bubbles with a chance of bubbles. I've been a total ghost. And Clive says, babe, you've had a messed up childhood that
Culinary?
No,
Culminating.
culminated
Yeah.
in a traumatic event. It's like your therapist says, you need to go out and make your own way in the world for the sake of your mental health. And Blossom says, I hope I don't have a panic attack while I'm there. And Clive says, that's what Xanax is for. That and
Oh my
recreational use by guys with cool face tats. And if you do freak out, just do that exercise that Dr. Pat taught you. And Blossom nodding, saying, right, visualize my inner child. She gazes into the middle distance, where her childhood self magically appears, waving to her reassuringly. Blossom continued, saying, thanks for being amazing, Clive. I love you. Ding! Another text, this time from Bubbles to both of Buttercup and Blossom. It says, as happy birthday Eve, my BBSs. And see you tomorrow. And Blossom, soothed by her conversation with Clive, grins and texts back, can't wait to see you guys. Seriously. And after a beat, Buttercup texts, me 3. And Clive says, it's gonna be super fun. Exit to government building to establish a day. And we hear that Jojo says, damn it, straight to hell, Gina. And then enter the mayor's office. Day. Jojo, now also in his 20s, sits in a well-appointed office. A plaque on his desk reads, Jojo Modell, mayor of Townsville.
What?
He reads through a report in front of his secretary, Gina. He has a pet monkey sitting on his desk. Gina says, this is just internal polling data. You've got time to poll ahead. And the narrator says, unlike our prodigal Powerpuffs, Mojo's son Jojo stayed in Townsville. Indeed, his loyalty and dedication to the city had carried him all the way to public office. He was the youngest person ever elected mayor of Townsville.
That's what I was
Unfortunately for him, a second term looks unlikely. Jojo says, I've delivered on everything I promised except free gelato Fridays. And that's only because the perfect scoop turns out to be a front for meth trafficking. Gina says, I miss their pistachio. And Jojo says, Alyssa Lawrence has no experience. She's impulsive and reactionary. And Gina says, she's exciting. And Jojo says, you mean she's not a white man? And Gina says, no. Jojo says, you hear about reverse discrimination, but until it happens to you, No offense, you totally earned your position. Optics don't hurt though.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's the Diablo Cody coming in, writer of Juno and other great and Young Adult and another great feminist drama comedies. Yeah. Woo!
Gina says, okay. And Jojo musing says, there is only one thing people love more than virtue signaling, Gina. And Gina says, frozen desserts of Italian origin? And Jojo says, no, security, safety, and I can provide that. Jojo feeds his monkey a treat. Gina says, with all due respect, Mr. Mayor, Townsville is a candy-colored bubble of privilege and comfort. Ever since the creature attack stopped, we're one of America's safest cities. I don't think people are voting from a place of fear. Jojo says, what about my pet monkey? That was meaningful in the last election. And Gina says, post Harambe, no one cares anymore. Jojo says, I need to read through all this. Go ahead and knock off for lunch. Gina says, one more thing. The Powerpuff Girls are coming to town tomorrow. Color drains from Jojo's face. He's shaken.
Fair.
He says, tomorrow? All three? And Gina says, just for the weekend. The Gazette called asking for a comment. And Jojo says, tell Frank I said no comment. That'll be all. Gina nods, exits as Jojo mules all of this over his monkey screeches. It gives Jojo an idea. He picks up his cell. Calls up a contact. Short stack. Hesitates for a moment and then dials. Jojo says, I need you. Exit to the Townsville Airport curb / Uber pickup day. Buttercup exits with her duffel. We see Bubbles with her sweet 8 of luggage in line for an Uber. She's accompanied by a middle-aged guy with a camera. She spots Bubbles heading over. She spots Buttercup heading over. Bubbles says, here she comes. Start filming. And then Buttercup, happy birthday, bitch. And they hugged happily until Buttercup notices the cameraman.
And like Kingo. It's like
a
tired cameraman following around.
Buttercup says, what's with the Al Mazies? He's over here. Does he work for Bravo? And Bubbles says, no, I'm making a tasteful doc about my comeback / solo career, which starts with capturing our reunion, which is kind of a big D. And the cameraman...
That stands for deal, John.
Yeah. Not the other big D.
Not on CW, my goodness.
She turns to her cameraman and says, oh, and this is my manager, Ace. And Ace says, hey. And Buttercup says, when you say reunion, to be clear, you mean like our personal reunion? Because I'm not. Bubbles cuts her off saying, you're not interested in a reteam or reboot of the Powerpuff Girls. I know. Even though America would go rip shit bonkers for it.
Wow.
I don't know how they were planning on saying that on network television, but okay.
I bet they bleep it.
Probably.
Yeah.
And Ace says they would. And Buttercup affectionately strokes one of Bubbles' pigtails. Buttercup says, you haven't changed at all. And Bubbles, winking, says, Gotta stick to the character Bible. They smirk, Eric, but the looks they exchange are poignant. And enter car day. Bubbles, Buttercup, and Ace ride in the back of an Uber. They pass the old "Welcome to Townsville" billboard, which now says Jojo Mondell, mayor, with a smiling photo of Mojo. Buttercup says, so Mojo's son is the mayor now. Bubbles also responds, remember what a huge crush she had on Blossom? Weird kid. Hey, you know who we should go see while we're here? Sarah. She was always so great to us. And Buttercup says, Dad blew that one. Has he been dating lately? Do you know? And Bubbles says, just rando hookups, science groupies, beaker bunnies, nearsighted hoes mainly. And Buttercup up says, got it. The car turns onto their childhood street. Buttercup continues saying, I can't believe Blossom is coming. And probably only because Dad made it mandatory for us to access the trust. Bubbles says, what are you going to do with the money? Buy a little cabin? Rescue a few schmeckle noodles or doodles? And Buttercup says, I'm not a total cliche. And then says, I'm going to have chickens too. And suddenly they look out the window, alarm. And Bubbles says, what the fuzzy lumpkins? We see a mob of people gathered near the Powerpuff Girls childhood house. Some are pressed, some carry signs that say things like no violence in Townsville. And few are fans. And Buttercup says, Dad alerted the press. And exit to Professor Altium's house day. The sisters got out of the Uber. The small crowd surrounds them, yelling questions. And it's like, are you here to start trouble? And other things. As Buttercup says, is this a welcome wagon or a go home wagon? And Bubbles says, who cares? We're trending locally. And the journalist says, are the Powerpuff Girls reteaming? And Buttercup says, hell no. I'm not capping for Townsville ever again. I'm here to collect a debt and then I'm out. And Bubbles says, throttle down, boo. Your Chem X is showing. And then she says sweetly, who is this? As they reveal a cute little girl standing by the front door. And the little girl says, hi, I'm Henrietta. I'm a huge fan. Blossom is my favorite, but all of you are feminist icons. And Bubbles says, thank you, cutie. And Henrietta says, can I have a hug? Bubbles leans down to hug Henrietta. Bubbles notices a large furry caterpillar on Henrietta's shoulder, arching up towards Bubbles' ear. She instinctively swats the caterpillar into the bushes. Henrietta had a burst into tears in full panic. And Henrietta says, that was my pet, Gloria. Buttercup begins to mumble an apology as Bubbles yells, Daddy! And camera shutters click as Drake opens the door to greet his daughters. Bubbles hugs him. Ace films. And Drake says, girls! And Buttercup strides past Drake inside the house. Professor Altium's house same time as Drake shuts the door behind Buttercup and Bubbles. Buttercup says, "Dad, why'd you call the press? Blossom's gonna freak out, and the last thing we need is another crack in the bail jar." And Bubbles says, "Blossom's been doing fine." And Buttercup says, "She's emotionally fragile. Coming back here is probably triggering for her." Bubbles says, "Why? Because she's the one who killed old Mojo? I mean, moveon.org." And OC, we hear a chair squeak. It's Blossom sitting at the kitchen table. Awkward. Ace turns to Drake, extends his hand. Ace says, "As I'm Ace, Virgo management." And Drake shakes his hand as Blossom rises to greet her sisters. And Blossom fondly says, "Come here," and Buttercup and Bubbles come in for a long, strong group hug. Drake watches them pleased. Then he turns to Ace, who has temporarily lowered his camera to observe the reunion. And Drake asks, "You getting this?" Enter the Powerpuff Girls' home, kitchen table later. The sisters sit in a row on one side of the modern dining table, and Drake sits on the other. A gourmet on dinner sits before them, and the room is full of birthday balloons, and Ace films it. Drake says, "I can't believe you girls are 25. Wow, the 3BS is back in Townsville. The 3Bs is not BS. It'll be a nice to catch up, huh?" And Blossom looking at the red phone displayed in the living room. It's in a glass case, unplugged like a museum piece. She starts downing a glass of red wine. Buttercup says, "Yes, and it will be nice to collect the money we earned for the sale of our childhoods. When do we sign?" And Drake says, "You loved being a Powerpuff Girl." Blossom cutting in, "It's not like we were given any alternative." Bubbles says, "Bloss, you would have chosen in PPG no matter what. You were always the first one out the door when the alarm went off." And Buttercup says, "I'm sure it's deactivated now. The T-ville is as peaceful as any town USA, and by the looks of it, as boring and humongous homogeneous as it is." And then she says, I counted 3 Paneras." And Drake says, "Actually, I didn't want to bring this up yet, but I have reason to believe that darkness may be headed to Townsville." And Buttercup says, "Hobby Lobby?" Blossom, nervous, says, "Dad, you don't mean like..." And Bubbles says, "Monsters?" Drake says, "I'm afraid so." Blossom starts quietly freaking out, subtly hyperventilating. She's having a panic attack. Drake continues, "I think the city may need the Powerpuff Girls again." And off from Blossom, who's losing consciousness. And Buttercup says, "Bloss!" Then enter Henrietta's lair. Evening. In an apartment, we see a Henrietta seated at a child-sized desk. The song "Glowworm" plays in the background. She repairs a bear caterpillar. We saw all that Buttercup swat away earlier. It's not a caterpillar. It's a robot. Reveal that there are hundreds of such robot pillars crawling all over the room. Henrietta cracks the volume of her record player. The neighbor yells, "Hey, turn it down!" Then Henrietta says, "Sorry, Mr. Carther Ruthers." And Henrietta pushes one of her woolly bears through a wall vent. Enter apartment directly below. Oh, night. Mr. Carruthers, or is Henrietta's neighbor, is in their fifth. Yeah, I think Carruthers. It's spelled Car Ruth Ers.
Yeah, that's Carruthers. Yeah,
Carruthers
it's a weird
watches UFC on his couch. The woolly bear emerges from his vent and traverses across the couch cushion before crawling into his ear. Mr. Carruthers shakes his head at first, then quietly settles into his new normal. A strange yellow glint in his eyes as Glowworm continues to play faintly as we end of Act 1. So, as we at the end of Act 1, how you guys feel so far?
Well, you go first, Annabelle.
I don't know how to feel. So like I love Bubbles as a character. Like she is definitely me if I ever had fame and then lost it. Like that is me. I am her. I would definitely be reality TV show, all of that. Love her. Not a fan of the professor, their dad. Why did they make him a total dick? Because he is not a dick in the actual cartoon.
Yeah, he seems changed somehow.
And
the whole story of Mojo Jojo is just like not correct whatsoever.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder.
A lot of people complained about that when they heard about the show.
Because like, is the idea supposed to be that these are the actual Powerpuff Girls, and so now the cartoon that we knew from the 90s and later is like based on their exploits, and that's why there's not actually a monkey version of Mojo Jojo, and instead he has a pet monkey, and they're like, oh, we got it wrong in the retelling of it or something.
Have either of you ever seen in the TV show Scrubs?
Very briefly.
Yes.
So the actor who was supposed to play the dad in this is Donald Faison, and from Scrubs
and from like Clueless as well. Like he's I was reading the cast looks like it would have been pretty good.
Oh,
Did this get canceled completely, or
so they filmed this pilot that I'm reading off to you. But then it was decided that it was so absolute shit that they did not. They were refused to put it on television, and they decided they were retooling the pilot, remaking the script, and they've been working on that for the past 2 years. So it's technically still supposedly coming. Chloe Bennett, and if I remember right, she actually after they decided that they weren't going to use this pilot, she left the show. So she's no longer going to be a part of it. But I think the show is still supposed to be happening.
Okay.
Yeah, because Dove Cameron is Bubbles, and I love her. I follow her on Instagram and all that stuff, and she like posted like a picture of her chair that says her name and Bubbles under it, and it was like Powerpuff Girls coming soon. So like nice. I think they're still doing it.
I'm guessing they're probably now filming a new pilot.
They need to. They definitely need to.
Yeah. I still want to see this, whether it gets long-term legs or not. But It is something I wouldn't mind seeing.
It's so ridiculous. I think the world needs to see this.
Oh yeah, and just even just the try at it. You know what I mean? Like it'd be a shame not to go ahead with it, because it is a beloved cartoon that definitely not something I expected to see in live action, but it could be funny. And like even if it's campy funny, like that was what was fun about the original show, was it was a comedy. I hope that it's played up for laughs even more. Like we're getting a lot of Bubbles jokes, which is great.
Now so far, how are you feeling about the adult parts of this? It's definitely not a show for children.
Yeah, it's definitely not. Yeah, no.
But it's smart, because when stuff like that is addressed, like when they think, rather than make a new cartoon of Powerpuff Girls for a new generation of children, they're going, okay, this has been long enough that the original fans are grown up. Let's make it for them. And that makes way more sense to me than doing reboots for new audiences and to just what? Like, you're just going to alienate the old fans, and then like, what if you don't grab those new fans because it's a new generation? It's just, this makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree. As a person that grew up watching the Powerpuff Girls almost every single day, like reruns after reruns, had it on DVDs, all of that, I would love to see an adult version of this that's going to be funny. But I don't want it to be stupid like this pilot sounds. That right I don't want it to be like a spoof or something of it. I don't want it to be like that.
Definitely.
I'm not sure that it belongs on CW in order to have this success. Like right now, if like the fun tone that I would want it to have is the same as like the Harley Quinn cartoon that's on HBO.
Yeah.
But make it live action. Like then they can really play it up. They can make it, those bleeps that we're hearing can be bleeps at first, and then they grow up and actually swear, and they can be a little bit more adult humored. Definitely. I don't know that CW would be the best place to put this show.
Though sadly, with HBO Max being is going to be ending soon, so I would not be surprised if that means that something like this could probably never happen on there. And I wouldn't be surprised if honestly it could happen on the CW anymore either, because the CW just got bought out by a company that is mainly known for removing all the scripted shows and just making reality shows on the network.
Oh,
awesome! Yay!
Why is HBO Max ending? HBO can't be out of money.
No, so because of Discovery buying out Warner Brothers, they're merging HBO Max with Discovery Plus, making HBO Max be a part of Discovery Plus, and most people are pretty sure that that means that a lot of the shows that people like aren't going to be still made, and that's it's and also like that's probably one of the reasons why they just recently canceled the Batgirl film, because they don't want that to be part of this new streaming service. Though there's definitely some other reasons that they canceled it, and of which though they haven't been confirmed, or many people have speculated, but we don't have to get into those here.
What is it, John? What is it?
What is it?
Okay, but so
you can speculate with us. It's not we're not talking about Marvel. This is all. It's okay.
This is just speculation, but there has been a lot of rumors going around that David Zaslav, the new CEO, is not a fan of representation. This is a film that had a black lead, a trans best friend in the film, and it's directed by two Arabs.
Ooh. Yeah.
That I really would not be surprised if that's a reason behind it. They cancel it. And main reason why a lot of people think he's against representation is because he fired or I don't remember if it's actually confirmed whether it was him specifically who did it, but everyone's pretty sure it was the only female that was on the board art, and he removed everyone that was on the board art, and he replaced them all with white guys.
Oh, fun.
So,
Yay.
so you're telling me that as like Disney enters a more progressive era, as we're all witnessing with how the MCU is, people get all pissed off about how woke it's getting. I'm all for it. And like the MCU, as some angry people on Twitter seem to keep saying, we're gonna see the opposite thing happening with Warner Brothers,
I guess. They're going. They said, Ed, that they're big franchises that they are interested moving forward are not the entirety of DC. It's just the big three: of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. So,
Wow.
most likely that means that most of the not as big characters that people really enjoy, you're probably not going to see many films from them coming moving forward.
It's so crazy because like Marvel's been going so strong for so long that we're now into like third tier and fourth tier characters being explored more, and like the shows showing the TV shows we've got in the last year on Disney Plus are showing characters that got very little screen time in their own feature films, and now we're into like new TV shows with characters a lot of people have never heard of, which is great. And then DC's just like, oh yeah, we figured we'll go with what's safe. Everyone's seen Superman 9,000 times and Batman the same, so let's just keep going with what works. It's like that. Come on, fresh.
I gotta say, there's so David Zaslav said Ed, that the reason his reasoning that he says is that that he canceled Batgirl is because it is not up to the standard they think Inc. counts as a big screen spectacle, theatrical spectacle, and like, yeah, that's total bullshit. This is a superhero film that has Michael Keaton as Batman in it. You can't tell me that is not a big screen spectacle.
Yeah.
Come on. No, it's definitely other reasons, and you're trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
And they say that they don't think it's gonna be profitable. And so they're doing a tax write-off with it, and so which apparently the tax write-off is only gonna give them $15 million back, even though they spent $90 million on it. Do they seriously think this film is not going to make more than $15 million if it came out? Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I'd go see it just to prove them wrong.
Hey, I was just thinking the same thing. I would go just to support more.
And also, like, they say that this is not this is sign that we can't trust is gonna that people are gonna like. That they think that he thinks it's not a good film. Well, the thing is, if you are smart as a company, you would have faith in this film, because the directors of this film just made a TV show that is almost universally loved. That TV show is Miss Marvel.
Oh,
the directors of this directed Miss Marvel.
Wow.
Oh, it would have been good. I loved Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel was fantastic.
And it makes sense. It makes sense that that the directors of Miss Marvel are doing another show or another movie about a teenage superhero.
Yeah, teenage superhero, person of color as well.
Yeah,
which is like,
my God. Yeah,
damn it.
And the thing is, it makes me wonder. So, David Zaslav also said that he's absolutely happy with the Flash film, and he's going to have the Flash film go forward, just ignoring all of the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller, which makes me wonder. With everyone guessing that he's very anti-representation, makes me wonder if he doesn't realize that Ezra Miller doesn't identify as a man.
He's gender
and
fluid,
when he realizes that, he's gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he
sad.
thinks that it's just a white man and leading a film.
It's so sad if he like found that out and then decided to pull the Flash film. That would be
That's
like,
the final straw.
yeah, that would be ridiculous. Like, really? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? After
Yeah.
all he's
Of
done?
all the reasons why you would cancel the Flash film, that being the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on now, dude. That's
This-
just making you're gonna put Warner Brothers in the toilet. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna fuck it up
Oh,
for
yeah.
everybody.
And they said that they have a 10-year plan now out for DC. And I'm and they've said and shit like that for the past 10 years that they every once in a while, oh, we have a plan, and never have
Yeah.
a plan.
We have a
And
plan to
I
recycle
kinda
Batman
feel-
with a different actor every 3 years.
I kind
that's
of
it.
feel
Yep.
like in 10 years, once this supposed a plan is actually fully in motion, DC is gonna be dead as a brand. And Warner Brothers is gonna be dead as a company. He's gonna be forced to sell DC off to be able to stay afloat.
And that's like that. Yeah, exactly. Like they're doing like don't get me wrong. I truly believe that a part of what Disney does in the progressive direction is altruistic and honest and sincere, wanting to make people happy and cause more, create more inclusion. But at the same time, they know it's profitable. They know there's a ton of people who will just go to see it to piss off their bigoted parents or something. Like they're picking a direction for their company and their products that is going to make them money. And if DC doesn't understand that is the way to go, they're just going to keep seeing profits just until someone comes up with the idea.
Also, so there's two other things that he announced that I think is really funny. One, so they another one of their franchises they say is one of their really important ones, I think, going forward. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter, even though that has been the Fantastic Beasts films have had diminishing box offices every single film.
Dude, oh my god. Okay, listen. As a Harry Potter fanatic, like obsessed, absolutely ridiculous, I am even saying you need to stop. You need to stop with Harry Potter. You've done all you can with it. That's it. You need to move on.
And then the last thing I think is really funny. He said, actually, there's two things. So one of them is that also on those franchise lists, they put because it's he's from Discovery, the 90-Day Fiance universe.
What? Universe?
Yes, universe. It literally says universe on it.
No. Okay, I love some trash TV like anybody else, but a whole universe? How? I don't understand.
Oh man. And then did either of you see I put into one of the chats on the Discord yesterday this graph that he put out for the talking about what they want from the streaming services going forward. So this graph says HBO Max is male skewed, scripted, lean in appointment viewing House of Fandoms. So basically, they're saying that only males like scripted content, and females skewed for Discovery Plus, us being unscripted, lean back, comfort viewing, home of genredoms.
I hate them. I fucking hate
that's
them. Are you kidding?
Like, seriously, yeah. They put that out on an investor call yesterday.
What the fuck? Did we just take like 20 steps back? What? Are you kidding?
It's insane. Oh my god.
Jesus.
Yeah, I have no faith that David Zaslav is going to be a good thing for the for Warner Brothers. No,
Big dumb mistake.
Dear.
like it's not Warner Brothers didn't have good management before, but this seems somehow even worse.
I'm looking at a picture of him. He looks like Jeb Bush. He looks like that Bush brother that no one really. He's so boring. He's so boring and old and white.
I'm going to continue this script.
There's more?
Yes, there's 40 pages more of this.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
We're not gonna go through all of this today, but
all right.
I want.
Are we near the halfway point?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
20 pages in.
All right, let's do it.
So I think we'll probably go like 10 more pages is today. So this is probably one of the most ridiculous scenes in the script, at least from what I have seen of the script. I haven't actually looked at the entire script yet, but so this starts. It's Act 2. Enter the Powerpuff Girls house, kitchen, floor. Later, Blossom's out cold. Bubbles and Buttercup hover over her. Buttercup says, "Bloss, wake up, or we'll leak your nudes everywhere." and Bubbles has confusion, and Buttercup says, "It worked on you once." And Bubbles nods, remembering, then thinks, closes her eyes. Bubbles, it's so crazy. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Bubbles
definitely for adults. I like that.
grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I'd just stare out my window. And Blossom says, "Please, not break away." And Bubbles says, "It's working." Buttercup wakes or Buttercup says saying dreaming of what could be, and if I'd end up happy, I would pray I could break away. Blossom, forcing herself up, says, "Okay, I'm up." And Buttercup says, "Too late." And Bubbles and Buttercup, so pitchy but so passionate, say, "I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. I'll do what it takes till I touch the sky." So the girls are interrupted by the Monster Mash playing downstairs. Confusion. Then we see, enter Powerpuff Girls' house. Drake's lab. Night. The sisters find Drake dancing in front of a PowerPoint, eating a Go-Gurt. He accidentally drips some on his shirt. Drake says, "Sorry, girls. I have a condition where if I see someone faint, ain't I faint, so I had to grab some sugar." Notices the Go-Gurt stain. "Now, would you look at that?" And then back to the girls, he says, "Take a seat, please. I made cocoa." Bubbles happily sits. Buttercup and Blossom take a beat. Buttercup says, "Damn." And Blossom says, "I do love that cocoa." And Drake says, "And I love family time." Drake shuts the door with a remote as the girls sit. And Buttercup says, "Hey, Matt Lure, the remote door thing is canceled." And on the PowerPoint, it says, it's a graph with various squiggly lines. Drake says, "As you girls may or may not know, I've been monitoring supernatural evil activity here in Townsville ever since you left. Mostly it's a lot of dead ends and conspiracies. Until this morning when I saw this." Drake pulls up a picture of a missing cat posted on next door. and Blossom squints, and Buttercup rolls her eyes, and Bella says, "So cute! I want it in a frame." And Drake says, "Oh, sorry, wrong Fred. And bear with me." He types for a moment. Here we are. And Drake pulls up another her next door thread titled, "Is anyone else's internet fucked?" With several complaints below. At which it's obviously it's not they're not actually gonna show the word fucked on TV. So it's two X's is on it.
Smart.
Buttercup up says, "Yeah, this makes a lot more sense." And Drake says, "My dear Buttercup, it's not the what, but the why. I investigated, and the provider's not to blame. There's no explanation for why this cluster of people in a 2-block radius don't have working internet, except for a mysterious, unusual concentration of high-frequency technology nearby, suggesting evidence of a secret, evil laboratory."
Oh my god, did we just like cross over into Scooby-Doo? Like, what is happening?
The internet must be salvaged.
The Bubbles gasp with excitement. Drake continues saying, "The reach of the outage suggests some pretty heavy-duty tech, so I didn't want to get too close. It's undermanned, should I say, undergirled." Buttercup says, "You shouldn't." And
Yeah.
Blossom says, "So you want us to go see if there's an evil lab based on a thread from next door about spotty internet?" Drake says,
Conclusion.
Buttercup up says, "And you're sure this evidence isn't something you staged in order to drum up a comeback for us?" And Drake says, "Honey, you think I would lie to you?" And Buttercup says, "Yes, you lie all the time. Remember when you let that colossal old goofer out during sweep?" says Blossom. And Drake says, "We were in a ratings hole." And Buttercup says, "And we ended up in a literal hole created by a giant gopher who tried to kill us with a tree trunk." And Drake says, "Now that was good TV." Buttercup says, "Kay, well, I'm gonna pass." Also is like the same, yeah. And Drake pouts. Bubbles stands up, turns to her sisters, and says, "Guys, how can you turn down an evil recon mission? Especially when said Mish would make a perfect storyline for my documentary. Bubbles is back." And Buttercup says, "Not to be confused with your other films, Bubbles on her back."
Wow.
Damn.
Bubbles on... Oh my god. Bubbles says, "Come on, it'll be fun. Plus, we haven't hung in like a decade. I really miss us. Please." Buttercup, warmed by this sentiment, but plays it cool. Buttercup says, "We do have a day to kill before we get our monies. Maybe there'll be something for me to beat up." Bubbles says, "Totally. Blossom, Evil retcon Mish? And the sisters look to Blossom, who looks away ashamed. And Blossom says, I think I'm just gonna take a nap. Buttercup rolls her eyes. Bubbles takes a deep breath. And Bubbles says, grow up in a small town. And Buttercup says, forget it, Bubs. Let her have boring phone sex with her pasty boyfriend. Drake says, girls, don't fight. How about Buttercup goes with Bubbles and Blossom just stays with me? We haven't had any QT since you got home. Blossom shuts her eyes, takes a deep breath. When she opens them, she sees a young Blossom examining chemicals in the BG. The young Blossom says, you two can split a Go-Gurt while he talks about himself the whole time. And you feel even more unseen. Blossom eyes the Go-Gurt stain on Drake's shirt. And it cuts to us to Blossom's rental car. Day. Blossom drives. Buttercup's in front. Bubbles in the back with Ace, examining Drake's stats on an iPad while Ace films. Bubbles says, okay, so this is Potink Inc. evil lab Dad found is somewhere between Donut Thing and the volcano. Oh, that's interesting. And Buttercup says, no, it's not. No one cares. And Bubbles says, explaining to the camera, the Canos is owned by the Rowdy Rough Boys, three brothers who were a failed spin-off version of us. Buttercup says, except they had no superpowers, and they all got Lou Pearlman. Bubbles
What
says,
does that mean?
I have no idea.
Lou Pearlman.
Bubbles says, if the Rowdy Rough Boys have turned evil in hopes of rebooting their franchise, and we stop them, then maybe Townsville will want us back. Blossom exhales deeply. Buttercup turns towards Bubbles, and Buttercup says, Bubba, let me tell you something. When we got outlawed by Townsville for accidentally killing a madman, and then unceremoniously ditched by Blossom, I was pissed. Blossom shifts in her seat, guilty, annoyed by the dig. Buttercup continues, but it forced me to reevaluate my life, and I realized how exhausted I was defending myself against misogynist morons and pretending I was straight for the cameras. It was fun when it was about fighting baddies, but it changed. Blossom, mostly to herself, says, yeah, it did. Bubbles, not really listening, says, do you guys think JoJo would do an interview for my doc?
Oh my god.
Buttercup says, you know, I don't think he would because of that whole we killed his dad thing. Boss says, Bubbles says, Bloss, maybe you can ask for me. I bet he's still obsessed with you. And Blossom says, he was never obsessed with me. Buttercup says, oh yeah, he was. And I bet he still is. But in a kinky, angry way.
Shit.
And they now are at parking lot, and Buttercup says, oh, that's a good spot. Ace. Enter the volcano. Day. An Americana dive bar. Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles and Ace enter to find the volcano popping. A picture of the Rowdy Rough Boys, Brick, Boomer, and Butch hangs on the wall. Buttercup says, Butch! Butch, now a super hot bartender, gives Buttercup and Blossom big hugs. Butch gets to Bubbles and frowns, standoffish. And Bubbles says, "Where's my hug?" And Butch says, "Last time I saw you, you broke off our engagement and told me you'd pawn the ring for drugs." And Bubbles says, "Was that you?" But Buttercup elbows her. And Buttercup says, "Have a drink with us. We're never here and we never will be again." And Butch smiles, relents, says, "Okay, one shot." Bubbles says, "O'Doul's for me, please. Thank you." And Butch leaves to grab them drinks. Buttercup makes eyes with a hot girl across the bar, Macy. And Blossom says, "Aren't we here to investigate?" Hey, and Buttercup says, "I'm here to pick up bi-curious townies. You're here to avoid Drake. Bubbles is here to investigate, but she forgot that Butch hates her. Luckily, we're dealing with another hate boner, so alcohol helps." And Blossom asks, "Why do you know so much about hate boners?" And Buttercup says, "Life is one big hate boner."
Oh my god.
At a table, Blossom, Buttercup, and Bubbles throw back their shots. Buttercup continues saying, "Hey, remember my 15th birthday at that weird honky tonk?" And Blossom says, "Bubbles peed herself. You threw Carrot Top out a window, and Sarah picked us up at 3 a.m. Never told Dad." And Buttercup says, "I can't believe they used to have sex. Can you imagine Drake? I bet he's so mechanical." And Blossom says, "And weirdly precise." Bubbles says, "I bet he's generous."
Why are they talking about their dad's sex life? I cannot. Ew.
Blossom and Buttercup throw napkins / trash at Bubbles. And Blossom and Buttercup say, "No, filth, not okay." And all the sisters crack up. By the bar, the sisters kick back another round of shots. Bubbles flirts with Butch, who is softened considerably. Bubbles nods to the door marked "Do not enter." Bubbles asked, "What's in there?" Butch says, "It's top secret." And Bubbles says, "Like an evil laboratory?" And Butch laughs it off. Bubbles eyes the room, dying to get in. The other end of the bar, our Blossom waits for a drink, watching a Bitmoji from Clive. Clive's Bitmoji says, "Call me, love you." Blossom smiles, puts her phone away, and then notices young Blossom on a bar stool beside her, sucking down a Go-Gurt. Young Blossom says, "Whoa, you're not immediately calling him back. Is that because, dare I say, you're having fun?" Blossom takes in her surroundings, her sisters. She is having fun, as Blossom savors the moment. Carruthers says, "Can I buy you a drink?" And young Blossom disappears. Blossom turns to find Henrietta's neighbor Carruthers, and Blossom smiles and tries to leave, but Carruthers steps in front of her, gets in her face. As he continues saying, I said, can I buy you a drink?
Oh shit.
Oh
And
no.
Buttercup notices Carruthers stepping up to Blossom as Blossom clocks the faint yellow glint in his eyes. Buttercup asks, what's going on here? And Buttercup, or Carruthers, turns to Buttercup up and then looks back to Blossom. And Carruthers says, aren't you those Powerpuff Girls? And Buttercup says, Powerpuff, Node, like you. And Carruthers grabs Buttercup's arm. Blossom's eyes go wide. Blossom says, oh no. And Bubbles also is now making out with Butch against the wall, trying to inch her way closer to the do not enter room, just as Carruthers sails across the room, bursting through the do not enter door. Bubbles peeks her head inside. It's a supply closet filled with storage and pesticides. Exit the volcano, night. Buttercup, Blossom, and Ace walk out. Butch physically carries out a flailing Bubbles. Bubbles says, stop. I'm an American treasure. Bubbles leaves, or Butch leaves. Bubbles hisses at him, turns to Buttercup, and Bubbles says, dude, not cool. Buttercup says, what? He was a creep. Ape and Blossy was full deer in the headlights. Blossom says, his eyes had a weird glint. I was trying to suss it out. Buttercup says, what's there to suss out? His botched clarinet or cataract surgery.
Botched cataract surgery.
Yeah, cataract surgery. Blossom says, why do you keep coming at me? I get it. I'm screwed up. And Buttercup says, no. Bubbles screwed up. Like constantly. You left. And Blossom says, I'm sorry. Okay. What more do you want from me? Buttercup says, I want the old Blossom. Buttercup becomes emotional. Bubbles nods to Ace to film. Buttercup says, you used to boss us around and have a perspective and care. You are our leader. And now you're this weak, closed off, mopey. Bubbles cuts her off saying, loser. And Blossom says, you know what I think? I think I'm the only one here that actually grew up, and neither of you can handle it because you're still beating people up in bars like you did when we were 15. Bubbles is wearing knee socks on Hollywood Boulevard. She notices Bubbles filming, and she shouts, "Bubbles, stop filming!" And Buttercup charges Bubbles and Ace to try and get them to shut off the camera. Bubbles steps to her, protecting the camera. Buttercup says, "Stop whoring out our lives." Bubbles says, "As you guys bungled the investigation, your dysfunction is all I have." As Bubbles and Buttercup circle each other, Blossom notices a Razor scooter or charging station across the street. Blossom grabs the iPad from the car, checks Drake's numbers. As Blossom says, "Hey, guys." Bubbles' eyes go frosty as she drops into her ice breath mode. Buttercup says, as ice, me and you, me, and you're going in the dumpster. Blossom says, "Guys, They look at her, and she says, "I think this is the unusual concentration of high frequency technology that Drake was talking about." Blossom points to the Razor scooters, and Buttercup laughs. As Buttercup says, "Oh my God, see buds, he's a sad, lonely quack. Let's go." Buttercup heads to the car. Bubbles sighs, looking to Ace. Ace, and Bubbles says, "Let's get some B-roll, I guess." And Bubbles looks over Ace's shoulder as he films the charging station at the base of an apartment complex. 3 floors up, sees a figure watching. See a figure watching Bubbles and Ace from their window. Enter Henrietta's lair. Night. Reveal Henrietta watching them leave. Her evil lair is directly above the charging station and is the source of the energy that Drake identified. Henrietta turns back inside, surprised to find JoJo sitting in an armchair. And Henrietta says, "Do you break into the homes of all the little girls you hire to do your evil bidding?" And JoJo notices a woolly bear on his arm, flicks it off. JoJo says, "Just the ones who murdered their parents. Less red tape. How's progress?" All right, that is halfway through this script, so I think that's about all we're gonna do for this reveal. Time.
What are your thoughts, Annabelle? What do you got?
I don't know.
You can't wait to see this, right?
So, okay, I like parts of it. I like the Blossom clearly having some childhood trauma, and when she's experiencing that, she sees her younger self. I really like where they went with that, and I think they could do good with that. And I do like the banter between the sisters.
Oh yeah,
it's very nice. It's a tasteful.
They definitely feel like they have a lot of chemistry. Yes. They really wrote that well, that chemistry.
Yeah, it feels like what if the characters were taken a little more seriously, and what if they were 25 and had gone through what's been described. Yeah, it sounds like it has a ton of potential.
Yeah, I think they have the right idea. They just need to tweak it a little bit. And get some of the characters accurate.
Yeah.
And I really liked it seems like they went really heavy on the Go-Gurt. Do y'all remember?
No.
Like back in the day, Go-Gurt, like they had Powerpuff Girls Go-Gurt. I loved it. I had it all the time. I'm pretty sure like Bubbles was blueberry and Blossom was strawberry. I can't remember what Buttercup was, but I'm sure it was probably like a green apple or something.
Yeah, okay. Green apple makes sense.
But yeah, I love how they went heavy on the Go-Gurt because that was like a big thing for my childhood, at least.
Smart. Yeah, that is a good little tongue-in-cheek addressing. That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I looked up what Lou Pearlman means. To be Lou Pearlman, what they said there was essentially being kind of sold out because Lou Pearlman was a producer of many boy bands, I believe, including both Backstreet Boys and NSYNC at some point. And then he made a show called Making the Band, where O-Town was created, and they lasted maybe one album. But he basically just had he thought he had the keys to the formula of the perfect profitable boy band type formula, and then he ended up going to jail for fraud, I want to say. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
at least it's better than what it could
money laundering
going to get to jail for, since a lot of people who were executives and managers and stuff with children's bands and stuff were into some very shady stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy just was taking them for all their money that he could.
It could be much worse.
Yes, very true. Very true. But yeah, so they're essentially saying that basically their life was sold and they were Lou Pearlman. They didn't see a dime of it. That's why Buttercup's so pissed. She didn't get her
I think they said
money.
that the Lou Pearlman was what happened to the Rowdy Rough Boys.
Oh.
Yes. So there was a version of the Powerpuff Girls that were boys, and they
That's
had
Butch
this
in them,
whole...
right?
No,
Yeah.
Butch.
Well, at least in this show, is Butch is one of them. They had it in the script all of them's names. Let me see if I can and find that.
Brick, Boomer, and Butch. I think when you said those three names,
Brick,
I typed
Boomer,
it in
and Butch.
Yeah. So I'm looking at
probably. I was thinking Butch was the kid they went to school with, or like daycare, preschool. He was like the really built, like, schoolyard bully kid.
Oh, okay.
I
do remember that character. I didn't remember their name myself, but
yeah,
there's a lot of characters I don't remember.
Who I thought Butch was. But yeah, there was the three boys, and they ended up being like the evil Powerpuff Boys, pretty much. So they had a whole thing where the Powerpuff Girls fought them, and then the boys actually ended up getting put in jail.
Damn.
So if you know what Lou Pearlman means, that's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that does make more sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see this show in fruition. Again, I don't know if CW is best for it, but it'd be nice.
Probably not best for it. CW being best for it. Even though I don't want them to continue it based on this pilot, I want to see this pilot.
Yeah,
I want to see the actual version of this pilot, because that just seems, it's so ridiculous, and I would be laughing the whole time.
Yeah. I would like to see them get the live action treatment, and this sounds like a good way to age them up and do that in a fun way. The humor, like, I'm glad that it is more adult humor and meant for the fans that were type of thing instead of brand new.
I do wish that Chloe Bennett hadn't and exited from the project, because I think that she would have been really fun in the show.
Yeah.
But it probably is better for her career not being a part of the show.
Possibly.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, I don't say that because it's Powerpuff Girls. I say that because I think people are very limited in what they're actually going to be able to do with their career once they join a CW show.
True.
Because there's a stigma around CW shows.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
Fair.
If they are full on making a live action that's not this pilot that you read us, if they keep Bubbles' character how they did in this, like a reality star type girl kind of, I think Dove Cameron playing that is gonna be beautiful. She's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see it if it comes out. I would love it.
Oh yeah. So the answer to the trivia question from earlier, you guys got it correct. It was Buttercup.
Yeah.
Woo! High fives.
Woo!
All right. So thank you for actually, is there any final things either you would like to say before I end off this episode?
This was a lot of fun.
This is a great idea. Was
fun. Well, thank you both for being on for this. So thank you for listening. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this script, so please let me know. And if you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more Gamma analyses from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Master John, signing off.